and potentially being part of the program. And the main reason we're going to do that is because the top reason I wanted to do this at all is that I wanted to create something bespoke, personalized, and specific to each individual person. So this isn't going to be a course where you just watch some videos and then eventually we have a retreat together and then we have a few Zoom calls. This is going to be the culmination of all of the facilitators, the leaders, the teachers, the scientists, everyone that I know and have worked with in the psychedelic space, including the therapy space, the biohacking space, data, all of us combined into answering the question that I have at the end of every psychedelic retreat that I have led, which is like, how could I have taken these people even deeper? What would happen? Not only some of you who have been to a retreat, I know I see many of you out there, you've experienced what can shift and change. It is profound, it is incredible, and somewhat unbelievable sometimes. But really recently, the last few retreats, I asked myself, sitting a lot of times in tears on the last day and you know, seeing the faces of transformation and beauty, what if I had been with these people for weeks and weeks before this? What if I had gotten to know them and gotten to know their trauma, their history, their thought patterns, the places where they get stuck, their loops, right? All of the therapies they've done, their sleep patterns. What if I had gotten to know them before and gotten to actually track all of that so that when they step into the retreat space or the immersion space, then we really can go to work. Then we can really use our tools and they trust us, they know us, and they know each other. And so that was the question that started this program. So with that, I'm going to let you know, Patrick will be taking in the chat your questions. So I will be presenting you. If something pops up of like, oh, I just thought of something with that slide, or I don't understand this, drop it in the chat as you know how to do on Zoom. And then at the end, we'll have about 20 minutes for a Q&A. And that can be something that came up in this presentation or just something you've been wondering in general about psychedelics, about transformation, anything that you hear tonight. Sound good?
I'd be happy to receive your questions. And Amanda, I wanted to point out, you mentioned after every psychedelics retreat. Why don't you share a little bit about what that number, all the psychedelic retreats that you've participated in, because
Mm.
really is
No,
quite impressive.
that is important.
We're,
It's important for
we're
me
the true veteran here.
to introduce myself, and thank you, Patrick, because I forgot that, and seeing a few people that I know, but a few people that I do not. So my name is Amanda Schindel, and I am the founder of the Buena Vida Psilocybin Retreats. For the last 7 years, I have specifically been working with psilocybin mushrooms. However, for about 12 years now, I have been working with all kinds of plant medicines, which my path started with ayahuasca and San Pedro cactus as the main focus. My personal path started with marijuana, with cannabis. That was my first plant teacher back when I was about 18 years old. I didn't know it then, but I do know it now that when treated and with respect and honor, that cannabis is an absolutely beautiful plant teacher. It's an intense plant teacher. And so my path with psychedelics has been for a great majority of my adult life, my training on the path of plant medicine in the more traditional ways has been since about 2014. And specifically with psilocybin for the last 7 years. I personally have worked with over 2,000 people at the Buena Vida. For the 3 years before that, I mean, I've never counted, but you know, easily over another 1,000 when I was at the ayahuasca and San Pedro retreat. So facilitation, group facilitation, preparation, somatic work, classes, everything involved in the plant medicine world is my specialty. And through that, I have discovered what works and what doesn't. We have shifted so much in those years from a lot of mindset work, like really into a lot of body work, because mindset work is available to us every day, all the time. And somatic work goes to many, many layers deeper into the body and the subconscious. And that's a big part of this program as well, is that mindset work is very important, but we tend to focus about 98% of our energy on mindset work. But we only have access to about 5 to 10% of our actual conscious mind. So we're shifting that. What does somatic mean? I'm going to answer that right now before we even get into it, because that's a very important question. The soma is a Greek word for the body. So it just means work with the body. Breath work, massage therapy, energy work. There's many, many different ways to work with the body, but the reason we work with the body and not just the mind was for what I just mentioned. Our mind only has access to a very small percentage of what's really going on inside of our brain. And our body many times can hold on to stories and memories and pain that don't have, the mind doesn't have a story for, or the mind doesn't really know what happened or why you act a certain way, react a certain way. And so the body can release and can heal in many ways before the mind can even touch it. And a lot of the plant medicines, including psilocybin, definitely those of you out there that have had this experience, you know that mushrooms are very somatic. They're very body oriented. They work on the body. Tears, shaking, moving, yawning, right? Like regulating the system through the body. And so with that, that's the last question I'm going to answer for now. The rest Pat will be taking from you, and let's get going, guys. Hi, Paula. Good to see you. Glad you could make it. All right, I'm muting everybody. Patrick, you be in charge of muting, just in case for now. Let's do this. You know what, Patrick? While I get ready here, could you lead us in a few deep breaths?
Certainly. Speaking of somatic, let's do it. Let's have
Yeah.
a representation. We're gonna take three deep in, three breath deep, three on the count of three. We'll breathe in, we'll hold at the top, and we'll have a long 5, 6 second exhale. Okay. So together, let's breathe in for 3, 2, 3, holding, and a long exhale. Let's do 2 more of those. In, 2, 3, holding, and a long exhale. Someone mentioned the vagus nerve. This is a great way to regulate it. Inhale, 2, 3, holding, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you, Amanda. It's back to you.
And here we are. Everyone can see my screen. Give me a little thumbs up if you can see it there. All right, I see some thumbs. And the last question is, do you still see the screen? Is it still looking good or did it switch? All right. I understand technology. Look at me go. Thanks, mushrooms, for helping my brain. Uh, you know what, Patrick? What happens occasionally? Did it stop sharing as someone entered the room?
It didn't. You look good for takeoff.
Oh, good for takeoff.
Welcome, Heidi.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Really, really.
Awesome.
Thank you for being
Awesome
here
is
tonight.
awesome.
So, before we begin, we're getting right into it. I want to acknowledge something in everyone here. And the groups that I lead, we tend to have something in common. And if you're showing up for a conversation like this, we probably all have this in common, which is that you are not a beginner. Many of you have already done a significant amount of inner work, some of it with us, some of it with therapists, some of it with your own self help books, all over the place. And you've done it. You've done the work. You've been to the retreats, you've been to ceremony, you've done therapy, you've done breath work, maybe you've had psychedelic experiences. And I promise you, you've had moments of genuine insight where those moments feels like, okay, something shifted, something in me really shifted. And yet, for many, many people, something is still looping. And so, what I would like to do, quick show of hands if you have your camera on, is who out there has had a very meaningful experience? You've had a breakthrough experience, an insight at some point in your life, but then you found that certain patterns returned after that. Common human experience, isn't it? Very true. Here is why, and this is what we're getting into. So, insight is not rewiring. This is an incredibly common pattern. We've all experienced it, is that peak experiences create awareness, right? I have an awareness of my patterns. I have an awareness of the way that I react. I have an awareness of how I'm hiding away from the world, whatever it may look like. But insight is not the same as actually rewiring your nervous system, rewiring your behavioral patterns and your life. Because your nervous system and your whole life really changes through repetition, structure, and reinforcement. And those are really the key points of this program: repetition, structure, and reinforcement. And that is what I believe has been missing from a lot of programs. So, my team, when we get together, we ask ourselves, and I've been asking myself this for several years, which is not how do we create these powerful experiences, because the retreats themselves are still powerful experiences. And we will continue to be hosting retreats. We're not moving away from that entirely. But the question I have is, why do some people experience lasting transformation, lasting relief from depression and anxiety, massive changes, and then others kind of slowly revert back to familiar patterns? I think, to be fair, all of us do a little bit of both. So here's what we're looking at with the research. As some of you saw in some of the emails I sent out, we'll talk a little bit about our team in a while, but we have been contributing to, a lot of our guests and us, we've been contributing to quite a bit of research over the past 6 years. And here is what we know. For a fact, neuroplasticity, everyone's favorite word when it comes to psilocybin especially, right? The ability for the brain to create new neural pathways and new networks so that you can learn, so that you can shift and change. But what clinical research and facilitation experience is starting to suggest, I would say, is that altered states give you this temporary window, right? So you have new neurons, new pathways for a temporary amount of time. And during that time, your brain becomes more flexible. So everyone gets really excited about this with psilocybin, right? Oh, my brain is going to be flexible. It's going to be open. It's going to be like I'm, a teen again, and I'll be able to create all of these new thought patterns and belief systems. However, that flexibility alone isn't really enough, because what can happen, it actually can be detrimental, because if you just jump right back into your life, same patterns, same places, same reactions, same TV shows, same news, all you're doing is rewriting the same story, but even stronger. And so preparation, structure, integration, a big piece of this is measurement, right? How do we measure these changes, and how do we reinforce them over time? This is what has helped me the most in my life, is not necessarily one plant medicine, one ayahuasca trip, one journey. It was when I had a somatic coach that I saw every single week for an entire year, because I was accountable to her. She called me out on my baloney, BS, or bullshit, however you want to say it. We did deep practices. She got to know me. She, again, held me accountable. She reinforced the beliefs that I wanted to enforce in myself. And when I would speak against those, she would know and call me out, because she knew me. And so this is why I want to work longer with you guys. I really, really want to. So reinforcement along with preparation. So preparation, let me talk about that for just a moment. We have contributed a lot of guest experience to Dr. Rosalind McAlpine. She created the psychedelic preparedness scale. So she is a PhD from the University College London, young woman, absolutely brilliant. She's been at Oxford and Yale, and just incredibly, incredibly brilliant, and also a facilitator with us. And so the psychedelic preparedness scale, I have a link, you can watch the video where she's explained it at a few different psychedelic conferences. But what she's done over time is seen there's so many different ways in which we can prepare ourselves, our mind, our body, our behaviors for an experience. And some things are just more powerful than others, and it may not be what you expect. There was a few really surprising pieces of that research. And so preparation isn't just like, let me do some journaling and, write my intentions. There are real ways specifically that you can prepare your body and your nervous system, because you cannot override a nervous system that is stuck in a freeze state, a fight or flight state. Going into a psychedelic experience when your nervous system is completely unregulated can actually be dangerous. So preparation isn't just doing some journaling. Preparation it takes quite a bit of work, and it really lays down the groundwork and the soil for those experiences to land. Moving on. So this is the way that I thought about this program. We have the experience. My team has the experience of over and over and over and over again with hundreds and hundreds of people, listening to their stories, sitting with them, watching them change, hearing feedback, hearing what didn't go well, hearing what did go well, speaking to them months later, speaking to them years later, coming back to retreats. We have an unbelievable amount of anecdotal data on our side. What we don't have is all of the research. But we do now have 2 members of our board that are on the leading edge of this. And for whatever reason, London is a hub. Imperial College London and University College London are a huge hub of psychedelic research. And we want to use not only having those 2 doctors as a part of our team, but to really have them inform, maybe some of the holes in the pieces that we as facilitators don't always get to see. Specifically, Dr. Rayan, he's studying addiction and gambling addiction, and they are finding out incredible new information about the brain, what the brain looks like under addiction, and like different types of addiction, different types of substances. And all of us, I think that you could agree, you don't have to raise your hand, don't worry, but all of us at some point in our life deal with addiction of some form. It may not be life-threatening, it may not be something that interrupts, that you can function, but a habit or a substance or a person or a pattern that you use in an unhealthy way as a coping mechanism, right? As a way to escape, as a way to numb, as a way to forget. And so addiction studies and addiction science is really important to our understanding of being a human, not just for the severe cases. So what are we starting to look at here? This is actually a picture from our facilitator training from years ago. Beautiful picture of some of our now future leaders. Some of the people in this picture here are now leaders in the psychedelic space. Really small group of people is the idea. I only want 6 to 8 maximum, especially in this first cohort, because of the high touch nature. We have right now at least 3, probably 6 leaders, including 2 of our research scientists. So this is going to be a very high touch container. Again, we don't want it to be, hey, here's a few Zoom calls and some things to read and we'll see you, in a few weeks. Psychological screening. So I don't want this to be for someone who's in a severe psychological state, or that someone that needs, a clinical psychotherapist, or someone that isn't on our team necessarily. We will be tracking your sleep, your mood, your HRV. If anyone already tracks their heart rate variability is just a beautiful piece of data that shows you just a great picture of how your overall health is doing. And it's something that we can track over time. And as you start to see changes in your HRV, it's a good way to see if the modalities that you are using are actually effective. Your sleep is another fantastic way to see, like, is what I'm doing, the supplements I'm taking, the mindset work, is this actually being tracked beyond my own experience of saying, I feel better, or, I'm changing. What we want to see in this program is like, okay, let's also look at the data. That can help too if you have a mindset of like, nothing ever changes. And then you see it in front of you, go, well, actually, some things are changing. A really defined preparation and integration protocol, which again, we'll go much deeper into that one-on-one. And yeah, some reflection and reassessment. So also some tools, like as we get toward the end of the program, to like, what is next, right? Like, what do we suggest? It's not just like, okay, bye, see you later. But I hope to work with the guests that are in this cohort like for years. That is really my dream. I now have worked with my somatic coach for 4 years. I can't imagine her not being a part of my life. So she's become an integral part of holding me accountable, being a mentor, being a friend, being someone that I can go to, and we hope to create that sort of relationship here so that I don't just see you guys at retreats, right? All right, so who have I been talking about here? I don't want to spend too much time here. We can go into this a little bit deeper. Amanda Schindel, that is me. I'm the lead architect of this deeper model. Patrick has been really helping me out. Patrick has a lot of coaching experience, leadership experience, business experience, and really sees things from a really beautiful lens of how we're going to really implement each and every piece of this program. Dr. Rayan Zafar, please look him up. He is doing absolutely fantastic work. He's also just incredibly intelligent and warm and approachable. He's a neuropsychopharmacologist at Imperial College London. Dr. Rosalind, who again has been on our team for about 5 years now, before she received her PhD, and has been, it's hard to track her down because she's also speaking at every conference and is all over the world, but we got her for our team. Nikki Estara, who some of you have worked with, who is an RN. Nikki has been doing work with cannabis, with ketamine, with psilocybin. She's also, an emergency nurse, so has a lot of the kind of background in the Western models as well as some of the Eastern models as a clinical herbalist. So she will be also helping us in the preparation stages of providing each and every person with an overview of what you are eating and drinking every day, right? What are you putting in your body? What maybe some herbs can help you out. Maybe some different tinctures that you haven't heard of. Maybe there are some things that you're taking that are not supporting you. So that's going to be a big part of the intake process too, is like evaluating where you're at with what you watch, what you eat, what you drink, right? How are those things affecting you from these different standpoints? And not that we will prescribe a diet to you guys, we won't, but we will make some suggestions. That includes microdosing as well. So what is this structure looking like here? Again, not getting lost in the weeds. We're looking at 3 phases: preparation, immersion, and integration. The biggest part to me of preparation is going to be the one-on-one work that you do with the facilitator that's chosen for you. That's going to include microdosing. And this time around, guess what, guys? Buena Vida, we're stepping out of just mushrooms. People have been asking me this for years. Are you ever going to offer any other medicine? I have access to San Pedro cactus microdosing. I have access to ayahuasca microdosing. I have access to DMT microdosing. We'll explore that together. Depends on what it is that you need help with. And being in this world for a long time, I have access to some of the best medicine in the world, people who produce it in beautiful ways. And we're going to be doing a lot of somatics. We're going to be doing breath work together. We're going to be doing more than just mindset work. And if you don't know what that is and you haven't, I don't think anyone here has been in our How to Feel sessions, but I take you through some pretty weird things that are going to unlock some parts of your psyche and your beliefs. And, the big part of this preparation is getting us ready for phase 2, which is a 7-day retreat or immersion, we're calling it. We're going to go a little bit deeper than a regular retreat because, like I said, we will know each other at this point. You will know the group. You will know each other, you will know us. And so by the time you get to a retreat, unlike a traditional retreat where it's like, hey, my name is this, and I don't really know you, and who's that guy over there? You actually will know us. And us, this is what I'm the most excited about as a medicine woman, kind of stepping out of, again, the research-based and data-based, but there are many places that I want to work with you personally that take trust. So that I can be my witchy self, so that I can use my intuition, so that I can use my training that is a little bit more esoteric. And that takes trust. That's something that I wouldn't work with someone who I just met the day before. That is part of this deeper piece as well. During the retreat, most likely, and I'm still thinking about this, and each group will be different, I want to start working with psilocybin as well as MDA. Raise your hand if you know what MDA is. Have you ever heard of that? Anybody? Like, what? Those are some letters. Maybe you heard of MDMA, right? MDMA, or ecstasy, as it was called in the 90s when I was a teen. So MDA is the sassafras root. The sassafras root always also makes things like root beer. It is the pure form, MDMA, the additional M, for those that want to get nerdy, is methamphetamine. So MDA, the MDMA is an additional piece. I only have worked with, and I really love MDA. It has a similar effect. It is a heart-opening drug. Those are called empathogens, which sounds like the word empathy. So an empathogen is going to be different than psilocybin in the sense that it's much more social. It's more about the group. So it's more active. It's more interactive. And MDA is similar to me to the cactus. And the cactus also works on the heart. And it works on the heart, if that doesn't make any sense to you, in the way of breaking through all of the thought patterns, all of the mental blocks, all of the things that you think you know about yourself and the world, and getting quite literally to the heart of the matter. So it can be seen as almost a truth serum, right? So during this time, we'll be interacting with you, asking you questions, right? Like it's more interactive. Whereas psilocybin, you're on your own journey and we're guiding the space. MDA is much more interactive. And these two together are incredibly powerful. I've had some of the biggest breakthroughs of my life on a combination of these two medicines. They dance very well together. We have some tech that I'm not even allowed to talk about yet because it is such a breakthrough. You've seen the EEG feedback helmets, right? And they have all the little sensors all over your head, and they have wires coming down. Those are incredible, and they can track our brainwave states and track a lot of changes in our brain. However, they're hectic. You can't really move around with them. They're hard to, you have to be sitting really still. There is a company that I just met recently in Austin that has created in-ear headphones that are EEG feedback that will have the same results as those, which is an incredible breakthrough. So I said I wasn't going to get into the details, but there's some really fun science and some details that are getting into this as well. Okay, so the retreat is over, right? Many of us go home and it's like, well, I guess I'll see you guys in about a month or so. This is where the systems, the feedback, the kind of staying on top of you guys, right, that we've discovered through these past few weeks together, this is where we really implement those changes. Again, potentially with microdosing, depending on each person, some coaching, some behavioral changes, but it's going to be a strong 6 weeks together and a more intense container. Who is this for? That's what we always ask ourselves, right, guys? Who in the world is this for? As you can see, we don't want this to be a beginner situation. If someone was brand new to psychedelics and was like, I'm just trying to explore, and I kind of want to, look at some of maybe some trauma from the past, or I'm looking to be more creative, that's what I'm going to still suggest is to go to a Buena Vita retreat, which those of you that have been know, those are intense enough, right? To say they're beginner is a little bit of a misnomer, right? The traditional 5 to 7 day retreats with Buena Vita are still incredibly impactful and very beautiful. So this is going to be, you don't have to have done a retreat with us, but we want you to have either some psychedelic experience, some perhaps like therapeutic experience of some type where you're ready for this, that we're ready to all go deep together, because it isn't just a journey for you going deeper. I want to be able to take the group deep into the jungle and say, let's go, we're ready. We've got this. For those that are just seeking kind of like a peak experience, again, you can find that somewhere else. Like this is going to take commitment. It's not going to be, hey, I haven't seen you for 3 weeks. I guess I'll just watch the Zooms again. So I'm going to hold people, life happens, but we're going to hold you to an accountability, right? We're going to hold you to your one-on-one calls. We're going to do our best to hold you to the group calls. That is what is going to be the difference. We don't want it to be like, oh, it's just this program that I bought, but like, I don't know. I just stopped paying attention to it. I think we've all done that before. And the best part, the question that everyone wants to know, I want you to read through a few of these and find something that resonates. Which one of these aspects sounds like it would be the best? Maybe waking up without a familiar pull of like the old me and just drawing me back into my patterns. This one's my favorite, just responding to life from a regulated place, right? The world is chaotic right now. I don't see that changing. The only thing, the only thing we will ever be able to control is our own state and our own regulation. And even that, things get in the way. But to respond to life from regulation, whew, that is beautiful. Improvement of relationships, right? Are the people in your life honest, stable, open, communicative, supportive? The people in my life are. I will say that. I no longer choose to have people in my life that are codependent, that are cruel, that are manipulative, that are draining. Let's hold ourselves to a different standard of relationship. And decisions that come from alignment, right? Those of you that maybe question your decisions and like, was that right? Was it wrong? Maybe you always go to others for advice, right? I have to do a survey of everyone in my life about this decision before I can make it. Finding a place within yourself that is home, it takes a lot of work. It takes practice. It takes accountability. It can take some of these medicines to help that, but my biggest dream, as you can see here, is moving beyond just peak experiences. Those will come and go. Those are very beautiful. We will have some peak experiences. We will have a lot of fun. We will have breakthroughs. We will have tears. We will have a lot of laughter because it's me and I like laughing. We will have that as well. It's not just all serious and all data, but let's move beyond a peak experience and get into this actually changed me. When I look back at the last 15 years of my life spent in this world, there's a handful of things where I say, that actually changed me. That actually changed me. And I want this to be that. Yes, Mr. Patrick, I see you have your hand raised.
Now, you make a good point. You mentioned the word coming home. And the pioneer of the psychedelics world, Ram Dass, has a very famous quote that we're all just welcoming each other home. And I really think that's what we've done here. I just created a home and a container for this where we can do that deep work, see the magic of these medicines, and also find the magic in each other.
I love that. Oh, we need some good people to walk you home. All right, guys, that is it. We are going to be starting probably in May. And I say probably because this is a year of flow, it's a year of expansion. I don't want to rush this. I want to talk to the right people. I want to get the right people in this group. I'm aiming for us to start around May and do our immersion in June. Where that will be in the world, I will decide because I have many places to access all over this beautiful planet. It's high commitment. I really want to emphasize that. I'm keeping it small so that we can hold each other through this deeply and we can perhaps get so close to each other, to the leaders in this group. And I've found that happens in groups of about, 5 to 10. 5 to 10 is a way to keep it in that way. And I'm checking in with myself if there's anything else. I think that gives a good piece. I feel very good with that. So let's get out of here. Let's stop sharing. I love sharing with you guys, and now I want to listen. I see we have some things in the chat. Let's all take a breath, maybe a shake. I'll take a shake after a little talking a lot. I love to talk, but you know. You can take one of Patrick. That breath that Patrick showed you is the easiest, and the fastest way to regulate yourself is just longer exhale than you inhale. That's it. You go in for 3, out for 8, in for 4, out for 7. Whatever it is, it's something I use every day if I'm lost or on my phone or I'm trapped. It's if you don't learn anything from this presentation, 3 of those long exhale breaths in any situation will get you back to a pretty sturdy baseline. Most situations, let's say. And if you find yourself, if your brain is telling you, I don't have time to breathe deeply, that's how you know that your anxious brain is active because your anxious brain thinks that you're of course, being chased by a tiger, and it's like, you don't have time to breathe. You don't have time. All right, Patrick, I'm ready. I'm ready for some questions here. I saw the question that's important. What is the cost of the program? The cost of the program is 20,000 US dollars. And here's my flashy part, because you came to this webinar, I definitely am going to offer 10% off tonight and in the next week for anyone who is ready to do this. It's the best we've ever created. It is a high investment. I want the investment to reflect what we will be giving you. And I want the investment to reflect how you'll show up. I know, and I can say this from personal experience, when I pay a low amount, and that's all relative to everyone, right? Everyone has that. But in my eyes, when I pay a lower amount for something, I just don't show up. I don't know if that makes me a bad person or if it makes me not committed. But when I have invested in something, I was like, ooh, you bet your bottom dollar. I am prepared. I am ready. I'm in my seat. I'm showing up. And, this isn't for everybody, but for the ones that are ready, we are ready for you. So Pat, throw some questions at me in the
Okay,
order.
well, we're still talking about the cost. There was a question about financing options.
The good thing about Buena Vida, I'm the sheriff, I'm the blacksmith, I'm the lady of the house, I'm the madam. So I get to do whatever I want to do. And I will absolutely work with that with you of what feels good, whether that's, extended over 6 months or over a year, an extended period of time, what that looks like. We've done that in the past. I'm completely willing to do that. And I think that makes a lot of sense for a lot of people too. So that can be something, again, because this is such a small group, I'm not making a lot of broad statements. Like, we want to talk about that specifically on the call with you. Cool.
Yeah, that's a good point. We'll have a link to schedule a call with us. We have remained intentionally vague about some of the details because
Mm-hmm.
this is a very prescriptive program. It really will depend on what you're going through and what your goals are for the program, and ways that we can create that program for you as we go. So that's what's a lovely part of this. Yes, you've dropped the link in there right
Yes,
now.
drop the
Uh,
link. That is, it says Amanda Private. That will be going to either Patrick or myself, or potentially both of us if we happen to be around that day. Something I think, about this, what's included in this program. So, in addition to, of course, the retreat, the immersion, everything other than airfare, of course, getting most likely will be in California, potentially in one of our places in Mexico. The microdosing medicine, whatever we prescribe to you, will be included, and that includes all before and all after. We're looking at some of these partnerships, right? So we have another partnership with a binaural beats headband that you wear to induce different brainwave states. It's very cutting edge. It's very different even than what's available right now as far as brainwave entrainment. That might sound a little bit dorky, but we can talk about that later. So there's going to be things that are included as well. As far as HRV, does anyone have an Aura ring? I really want to work with the Aura ring. It's a ring. It's literally a ring you wear. Oh, Karina has one. Will you show us, Karina, your Aura ring? Yeah.
It's actually a ring con, so kind of, I guess, a dupe of the Oura ring, but without the subscription. So,
Oh, I like that. Oh, that's actually fantastic. Trying to get rid of some subscription. So, yeah, so quite a few of the specifics will be included. To me, though, the biggest piece is going to be the amount of attention. That's what I really want this value to be. That's what I see at the end is like the amount of attention, the amount of time that I got to spend. An Apple Watch for some metrics. Yes, Apple Watch, I have one of those as well. We're still deciding on that. That will be something that we really decide in the next few weeks. This is something I also am really in deep talks with Dr. Ryan and Dr. Rosalind is not just vanity metrics, right? Like, oh, let's just throw a bunch of vanity metrics at you, but like what are they using, right? What are they using to measure these changes over time? That's actually significant. I think that's the most important, rather than just giving you a printout at the end of 3 months, which I promise you, that's going to be great to have that data. What I want though is going to be only something that you can tell yourself, which is like, I'm calmer, I'm happier, I feel more loved, I feel more centered, I feel like I have access to more energy, I feel like I have access to my true self, I feel confident in the way that I speak, I feel like I'm making the right decisions. That's the data that only you will know. Right? Those are the things that we really want to change. And I think it's fun, like I love tracking my sleep on here and noticing, like, did I eat too late? Or, was I really stressed that night and I didn't really get any deep sleep? And so the data is supportive, but the outcome, and I would love to hear from you guys if you want to drop this in the chat of like, what would be an ideal outcome of how you would want to feel at the end of this, right? Like, of those things, what was it? Like, sometimes people will say, oh, I just don't want to be depressed, or I just don't want to be anxious. But really, that's just about removing a symptom from your life, which is important. But it isn't really about how you want to actually show up, right? So maybe if depression is what you want to remove, connection is what you want. You're like, I want to actually like people again. I want to actually care what anyone's saying. I want to actually have an interest that excites me, a hobby that I care about. So rather than saying like, oh, I just don't want to be anxious, it's like, I want to feel grounded. I want to feel calm. I want to feel clear and free and patient, right? And not like, I have to do everything. No, no, no. Right? So sometimes it's thinking about what you do want. All right, Pat, what are we looking at? We got Sebastian with his hand up. Can we get a Sebastian?
Yes, let's see what Sebastian has to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
I had a couple of questions. One is, what if you don't know what your intentions are? Like, how do you set intentions without knowing? Like, I run into this problem quite often with my therapist. And so, um, that's my first question. And the second is, you said there were three stages. Could you say a little bit more about that? Like, how long is each stage? And is the whole thing, like all 12 weeks, is that done on site? Um, that sort of thing. Can you go into a little bit more detail about just those few logistics?
Yeah, absolutely. Super important. Thank you for bringing that up. I'll answer the kind of logistical one first, and then I want to go into that great question, how do I have an intention, or what really is my intention? So, as we're looking at it right now, with a start date in May, is we want to do 4 weeks of preparation. And what that will look like, it's not on site, that will be wherever you are in the world. And we will have 1 2-hour group call per week. And that will vary on the teachers. There will be some presentations from some of our doctors. There will be some actual experiential things that we do together as a group. And then you'll have 1 2-hour call with your specific facilitator. So that's going to be the person who, once we get the group settled, is there, that's like with you the whole time. And we also are going to have Voxer support. So Voxer is kind of like a communication app. I'm not sure if any of you guys have used that, but it's a way that you can leave voicemails back and forth. So even when we're not on a call, we're going to be available. So that means like you're running into, some stickiness during the week, you're running into some hard places, to just have that Voxer support, to have your coach guiding you through that. The immersion, the retreat leading up to that, is going to be 7 days. So that's going to, again, be in June. We haven't decided on the exact dates yet. We'll know very soon. And that's going to be for 7 days in person. And that will either be in California at our Joshua Tree property or in coastal Mexico. I know that you guys have seen some of the things that have happened recently in Mexico. We know a lot of people there. What a surprise. The news blew it way out of proportion. But yeah, things are they are what they are in many places in the world. And then 6 weeks, roughly 6 weeks of integration. And so 12 weeks, total, I think it's going to be between 10 and 12. And that's all going to be back at home too. So that will be back to the preparation time. So probably more like a 90-minute call with your coach during that time, and then 2 hours with the group weekly. All of those will be recorded, of course, not with your coach, but the group calls, because the honest truth is we always can't necessarily make those. And along with that, I don't want to give you too much homework, but we're going to have some, some goals that we kind of give you weekly, whether that's a podcast, if it's a journaling exercise. But my goal is to make this in total about 6 hours per week. So 6 hours of commitment of time that you can make for it. Um, yeah, does that answer that question about the actual scope and the structure? Now, your question about intention, um, I get to the heart of this a lot on the calls that I do when people are preparing to come to a retreat. The easiest answer is, how do you want to feel? It really is the easiest answer, because we can get really lost in, what do I have to do? Who do I have to become? What do I have to sign up for? What are all these, we can get really lost in that. Or what am I trying to change? And who do I want to be anyway? But if you only focus, almost like laser focus on like, how do I want to feel? And you can answer that, right? Like, it usually will come to mind, like, I just want to feel clear. I just want to feel free. Freedom is a big one I get a lot. People are like, I just want to feel freedom. I just want to feel happiness is a state that comes and goes, and it's too elusive, and it doesn't really stick. So with an intention, what's great about that one word intention, or like a feeling, is that then anything else that's in the way of that is what needs to go, right? So it's like, if I want to feel free tomorrow my intention is to feel free. What I can do throughout the day is, let's say I pick up my phone early in the morning and I go, hey, right when I get on my phone in the morning, I'm answering calls. My mom wants this, someone in my email wants this, but I don't feel very free with that. That doesn't make me feel free. It makes me feel leashed. It makes me feel trapped. So how can I change that decision today? I'm not gonna, I have it right now. I have 2 hours in the morning, no phone. I have a whole app that blocks it completely. And if there's things, again, emergency calls can get through, but like nothing else gets through. Okay, there's some freedom, right? So something that specific of like, here's how I want to feel, and then like anything that gets in the way of that, let me reevaluate that situation, right? Let me think about how there are now places, and you'll start to see it, right? You'll start to see like, ooh, here's all the places where I am not free. Here's a place where I made a decision out of fear. Here's a place where I said yes when I meant no. You'll start to see the ways you're trapped. Or let's say you want to feel calm. That day, you'll see all the places that are just stressing you out, that are making you hyped up, right? You might be addicted to stress, like some of us are a little bit. So when you make an intention how you want to feel, it does two things. One, it doesn't create any sort of specific expectations, right? Freedom, clarity, those are just feelings. It doesn't say you have to do this and go on a walk for 2 hours, right? It doesn't make a list of things you must do in order to do that. It just starts to show you, oh, okay, this is my arrow that I'm pointing toward. How does that feel? How does that resonate?
I think that sounds like a very good explanation. And I'll say, highlight the fact that this is going to be a high touch, in some cases, 1-to-1 ratio with some of our fabulous facilitators, all of which are, communing and making sure you're discovering your own journey. And we're co-creating this for you. We're quite excited to do this, and we're making history in the psychedelic space by creating this high touch container. So we'll have lots of opportunities in the weeks leading up to the immersion to discover what the intention is, and such a high volume of work happening that we may set new intentions every couple weeks, because we really believe that we're going to have a lot of results with this type of structure and loving support along the way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thanks for gassing me up.
Always.
So, Sebastian, I have to ask you to unmute again. What was the word that you thought of? If you could think of one word of how you'd like to feel.
It was 2 words. It was stop being fearful. Or
Okay, so
three words, stop being
what's the
fearful.
positive of that? Instead of stop, if you couldn't say stop being fearful, and you had to say start being.
Free? Is that what maybe? Or start being confident, start being I don't know. I could probably think three or four if thought on it.
Mhm.
Um, Start being confident.
Like fearless to be you.
Yeah.
Feels like the opposite, right? Yeah, because that's a classic. It's something that is worth repeating, even though we all know this. That the brain is a pattern making machine, and it doesn't care if those patterns are good, bad, horrible, or wonderful. So when we use negative words or negating words, right? Like, I don't want to be fearful. I don't want to be fearful. I don't want to be fearful. Fearful, 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 fearful. Like that's all the brain hears, right? It's the same thing of like all I ever see is red cars. There's a red Toyota, there's a red car next door, there's red cars, red cars, red cars, red cars. So that's why I like to shift that a little bit. If someone says like, I just don't want to be depressed anymore, or I just don't want to be fearful, that's great. It's great to know that, but what the brain will start looking for is like reasons to be fearful. Unfortunately, we haven't learned how to change that about the brain yet. So it's just good sometimes to just shift it to like, I want to feel free. I want to feel whatever those like the words were like again the opposite of that of like I want to make decisions from being grounded. I want to make decisions from a place of clarity, right? Not just like, well, I'm afraid, so I guess I'll do that, and I'm afraid, so I guess I'll do this. Is like give myself the space and the time to do that from a place of, like, yeah, clear, like a clear ground. Um, yeah, I like that. Anybody else who's got some questions? Who wants to feel a certain way? Unmute and tell me how you want to feel. I want to know these words. What would be a good positive? Mine is usually excited. I really like to feel excited. Um, because that means that to me that's the opposite of depression. Like when I feel that I'm in a depressive state, like excitement is like, I want to do this and I want to talk to this person and I can't wait to go for a walk. Oh my gosh, it's a beautiful day, right? It's like this childlike things are entertaining me, things are, oh, what am I going to learn today, what am I going to, ooh, a podcast, right? Like excitement means that I'm engaging in life. It means that I'm like moving toward something. Does excited equal alive? Feels like it, right? Feels like it when I started to talk about it. It really does. It feels like aliveness, wanting to participate in life.
Mm.
Yeah. Expression too, right? So a lot of people will say that the opposite of depression is expression. Like literally, when you depress a button, you push it down, right? And when you express something, you push it up. And so that sounds very simplistic, but I think it's important because most of the time when we are depressed, we are not expressing, right? We're not creating beautiful art. We're not expressing to people around us. We're not like our energy is not going outward. It's really closed in. Um, Mushrooms are great. Mushrooms are great for depression, especially long-term use. Like, I don't think that I've had a period, like a true period of depression like I used to have for at least, I mean, maybe once in the last 5 years. COVID was tough. I was drinking a lot. I put myself through behavioral patterns into that state. I must say that I was, in addition to the world, I was a big part of that. But it was like a true depressive state. And I was like, wow, I haven't been here, in a very long time. Um, and one of the first things I did, nice big mushroom journey. I was like, well, I know I know the anecdote or the antidote to this, and doesn't always work instantaneously, doesn't always work forever, but it's a huge push forward when you're kind of trapped in one of those downward spirals.
Amanda,
Mm-hmm.
Mark here. Hey, your comment about feeling alive or excited, almost like a child, maybe a child at Christmas or something like that, right? Um, I still remember one time when I was like that. And I don't know if I can attribute it to the maple syrup on the pancakes that morning or what, but um, that's the kind of feeling I'd like to get back. Although I know I'm like really older and my physical body is not going to get there, but maybe my mental state can shake off some of the crap I've built up over the years just trying to perform.
Yeah, I mean, you said some important things there, which is, you know, thinking of healing and wellness in like these multiple stages and multiple places. That doesn't just come from one place, right? It doesn't just come from the body feeling better, or like working on my mental health, or working on my mental state. But it really needs to be looked at from many different lenses, and it is multi-layered, right? Like you said, shake off some of the layers, and it really takes time and patience to, especially those of us that are in our, like 40s, 50s, 60s. Like, we've had many years of old patterns of, stuffing things down when they should have been felt. And that excitement, it will come back in layers. And the best thing I can suggest to you is, because I know you, Mark, is don't try to categorize your excitement, or what's the word I'm looking for? To like rank it, right? Like the maple syrup on pancakes. If if you really sat with that, and I mean like really sat with it, where you're like, how many people did it take to get this to me, right? How many trucks, how many workers, how many companies, how many emails, how much effort, how many leaves, right? How
Well,
many
I know that now.
and it's like, really get, like, sometimes I'll get just real, talk about deeper, get really deep with something like that can bring you so much joy and excitement. Now, if you compare it, right, to like, no, I wanted to, start a brand new hobby and get really good at this thing, and I wanted to do this. And so start to look for evidence of those exciting things, and without them being small or big, like, oh, it was a little bit too small. In fact, maybe your assignment this week is go find the best damn maple syrup that you can find. Like, real expensive, organic, straight from the tree, handmade.
Only got some in the fridge. It's used very sparingly.
I love maple syrup too. I think it's fantastic.
No, it's too much of a sugar rush.
Little pieces at a time. Sebastian, I saw another hand up there.
Yeah, so I just want to share a story real quick. I I live in New England. We just had one of the biggest snowstorms we've had in years, and so I thought that would be a great time for some introspection. And I took some psilocybin. Um, I I don't know how you guys measure this, but I took quite a bit and I didn't feel anything. So I was just wondering about dosage. Like, how do you handle that? Like, is it like we're we're at this level and that's it, or like, do you gauge it by the person? Like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. Completely gauged by each individual person. Many different factors go into the reason that a medicine may work or not work. Um, it may be hard to measure, right?
Totally fair, because I had these for a while in the freezer.
Okay.
So maybe that's
It
not
could
the
be a
best.
potency thing. It could be, certain medications you're on. It could be that, like, the place that you were in, and I mean that, like, physical place, mental place, emotional place. It may have felt okay, but there could be some things going on in the background that kind of like prevented you from really dropping into the experience. I know that can happen on occasion. Yeah, it could be a lot of different things, but what I would say is the way that, I think that we've become experts at dosing over the years, and knowing where to start people and how to increase and how to do, in the ceremonies, we'll do a second dose after about an hour, and kind of like consult with you and see how you're feeling. And there's no guarantees. I mean, there's no like, okay, I'm 5'9", I weigh this much weight, I'm a male, so I need this many mushrooms. I always say that. I've given tiny little women very high doses. I've given huge men very low doses. We all have different sensitivity, and the thing that I can never control is your ability to surrender. Surrender to the process, surrender to the medicine, surrender to life. That's something I'm looking forward to specifically here, is that we do spend quite a bit of time, like, let's say in a regular retreat, those first few days are like really getting our intellect to surrender to this process, because everyone that goes to a retreat, they go, I just really like control. And I was like, yeah, you and everyone else. Like, humans love control because control is safety. And so it makes perfect sense that we like control, but the nature of the psychedelic space is a little bit out of control. Which is why having a guide, having, people around you, having an extremely safe environment helps every part of those defense mechanisms that might be wanting to be on alert. It helps those to calm down. I've been taking mushrooms since I was like 19 years old. I would never think to take mushrooms in any sort of an environment where I didn't know that everything was safe, because it would be scary. I couldn't drop into the experience. It would, I couldn't navigate correctly. I couldn't listen to the messages that were coming in. Some people can do that recreationally. More power to them. I don't know how that's possible, that some people can be in a recreational type environment and be with medicine. But yeah, I have no way to know with what you took what that was. But that will be part of the evaluation too. Like the intake for this is going to be, we're developing that now. We don't want it to be too intense, but it's like I said, I want to know as much as I can about you, about your habits, about the way you think about yourself, about your family, about the world. We're going to do some like really interesting tests, because people want to change their mind and they want to change their outlook, but unless you really know what that is, right? Like limiting beliefs are a perfect example. Everyone's like, I got to change my limiting beliefs. And I'll be like, what are they? I don't know. I guess I've never really thought about that they limit me, darn it. I don't know. They just limit me. So it's like, okay, it's, if you, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know how I'd look at this, but I have spent quite a lot of time in the last 10 years specifically with myself. I always say, like, when and if I get a partner, he's going to have to, like, I'll have to be cheating on me to be with him, because like I have developed such an amazing relationship with myself. And that means I've had a lot of time to do this work, to like, why do I do this? What is this belief system? I just found out today I had an unbelievable loop that was shown to me as I was went to a coffee shop and was doing some journaling, and through a series of events where I found myself stressed and frustrated and why didn't this do this and why do I always have to do that, I was like, okay, wait, I'm noticing that there's a lot of stress happening right now and something is starting to loop, a belief system. And that belief system that was very limiting is that when I hire other people, when I work with other people, it just gives me more work to do. Now, my brain could sit there and be like, well, I have all the proof in the world of this. And that's true. It's like, well, let me tell you about this person. Let me tell you about this, right? So the belief was when I have people help me, I just end up managing more. Now, why is that limiting? Well, it's obviously limiting working with other people, right? It's limiting trusting other people. It's limiting by wanting things to be perfect. And so I really sat with that and I was like, ooh, this is harming me. This is not a belief I want any longer. And I'm going to have to get to the root of this. I'm going to have to feel the like mistrust in my body. And, it's something I want to change. But these are some of the things that we're going to do is like bring up these awareness practices, because if you just want to change your limiting beliefs, but you have no idea what they are, and if you're not aware, again, you'll convince yourself that that's just the way that it is. Right? Well, that's just the way that it is. If you find yourself saying that, no, that's just the way those people are. That's just the way. It's like, those might be some belief systems there. And, I'm a firm believer that, how do I say this without going too long? Because I know we're getting toward the end here. There are many, many systems that affect our lives. I am not of the new age spiritual belief that like you create your entire reality yourself and, only your thoughts are what create your reality. Like there are systems in place on this planet that devalue certain humans. There are systems that devalue women and certain people and certain religions and as we know, there are many, many systems in place. And depending on where you fall into those systems, you will have a easier or a harder way to navigate this world. However, those things that we can't control yet, that are outside of our control, we have to place in a certain way and we have to look at it in a certain way. And then we can step back and we can say, all right, well, the thing that is always, always in my control, the only thing, does anyone know what it is? The only thing that's really in your control. Yeah. Your perspective, like really, that was Viktor Frankl, right? It's like the man's last freedom, who is Viktor Frankl was in the Holocaust. And he said, the last freedom that a man has is his perspective. That's what got him through. And your perspective is what you choose to dwell upon. It's what you choose to think. It's what you know. We're gonna do some things where can I tell you guys my favorite part of this whole program? That I get to actually see you and witness you and call you out on your bullshit. I can't, like, I'm just so happy about that because it's my favorite thing that my mentor and my coach does for me is like they see me from different angles, right? They hear me when I'm saying, and I never, and they're like, right? You're stronger than that. I see this pattern in you. So, like, being a clear, loving mirror is so helpful. And we do everything here with so much love and so much compassion. But sometimes the love we need is a little bit of like, hey, what you're saying right now is not a proven fact. It is a belief, and it's just something that you have kept thinking for many, many years, and you have the power to change that. Do you want to change it? And you'll be like, no, it feels really comfortable. That's what I do. I'm like, it feels comfortable. But
Okay, how can you be comfortable in your pain?
whatever you're used to is comfortable. I have met
Yeah,
many people that are very comfortable in their pain.
yeah, me too.
Yeah. And this is why I don't personally call myself a healer because like I can't bypass where you want to go. If you don't want to be healed, I can't do something to you or give you a drug or do anything that's going to heal you if you have a ceiling to like how you want to feel and how you want to be in the world. And some people's ceiling is like I'm a victim and my life is shitty and like you're not going to ever convince them otherwise, and they have to eventually just see that themselves. And that's why I think loving people exactly where they're at is way better than any psychedelic medicine. Is like, I'm just going to love you exactly where you're at. And I'm going to reflect back to you what I'm seeing, which I have a hard time doing, again, unless I really get to know people. I can then say, hey, let me reflect back what I'm really feeling and seeing. Maybe some things that you're not able to see right now. So if you don't have one of those mirrors in your life, maybe it's a best friend, maybe it's a partner, and that's a little annoying sometimes, right? When it's a partner, you're like, dang, they see me so well. Yes, Patrick, got your hand up. I know we're coming to a close. We're coming toward the end of our time here together, but
Yeah, thank you for this information, and I'll just wrap up. There was two questions that are kind of connected. You covered Sebastian's question about the size of the dosage quite smartly, and that's a hot topic in the retreat scene. And having done it, whether we're told how much we're taking, or sometimes we often don't say how much you're taking because we found that you actually need less. And if we leave the mind and just trust the medicine, and I'll also say we're gonna know each other very well down to your stats and your routine, and we also have our training to follow and understand what would be the best, and then like as Amanda mentioned, there is a window where we can continue to take more medicine, and that relates also to that microdosing and those home journeys that we mentioned. That will really depend on which route we go with that microdosing. Amanda mentioned a number of fabulous sacred medicines that we can choose from that really will tie to our intention. And each of these medicines and plants have personalities. And for those of us that know mushrooms, it's a very childlike. We call them onguitos, like the mushroom babies, for that finding that playful curiosity in ourself. But what's interesting about this space is you're not going to a mushroom retreat or an ayahuasca retreat. You're going to a container where the right medicines will be stacked around you and the right professionals working. And a word that we didn't use enough here is collaboratively, working around you and calling in the right people at the right moment for your journey. So I hope that clarifies a bit on the when we talk about dosage.
eloquent and very much needed. Yeah, very, very much needed. Um, That's a great point. And, I don't want to just throw medicine at you. If anyone knows me, I'm not someone that just encourages you, like, go to ayahuasca and then 3 months later go here and go here. That can just be the ego chasing its tail, and chasing peak experiences. And so there's a balance. Like, there's a balance of, like, am I using this medicine responsibly for a purpose? Is it just to, like, feel high and see what it does? Or is it really to move me toward that word, right? Toward that freedom, toward that clarity, toward that excitement. And for those of you that have something I'm so excited to work with is San Pedro cactus, or Wachuma, it's called, both the Spanish version and the indigenous version. Wachuma cactus, as a medicine, is so good for presence. So if you find yourself constantly lost in, like, what I did yesterday or last year, or, like, what month is it again, and I'm not sure what I'm doing, if the idea of being present in your experience and your life is really challenging, San Pedro medicine is, like, it's just absolutely beautiful for that. Something I've noticed in myself that can be a pattern on occasion is feeling like I'm not even living in my own experience. I'll be like, wait, what did I do last week? Like, where do I live here? Like, it's almost like depersonalization a little bit on occasion. And it can happen under stress. It can happen with, kind of like the times we're living in. I've lived in the same house now for about 15 months. And on occasion, if I want to, let's say, buy something for the kitchen, I'll be like, well, I don't know how long I'm living there. And I'm like, wait, but I live here. And so I have to, like, ground in and remind myself, like, this is where I am. This is where this is where my heart is. This is where my soul is. And I'm really excited. I'm actually going to start in the next 2 weeks to start microdosing San Pedro again, because that can be a way to, like, it's the cactus. It's, like, deep rooted. It's old. It's masculine. And in the shamanic world, the cactus is the masculine. It's the grandfather. And it's, like, it's presence. It's, like, sharp focus. It's really, really good for if you feel like someone who's kind of floating above your body, going from experience to experience. You don't know what day of the week it is. And so that's just an example. That was just one example I wanted to use. So this will be a big part of it, is, like, once I hear you tell me your story, I will know really quickly, like, this is going to be your medicine. And maybe it's a combination of a few different ones. And Nikki, who's our nurse and one of our lead facilitators, she also does quite a bit of work with cannabis. So many people have a lot of fear of cannabis. They don't like cannabis. They've had bad experiences with it. She will change your mind completely on that, because she approaches cannabis from a therapeutic lens, from a shamanic lens, from an actual plant medicine lens, like getting a pure form of the entire plant, not a derivative, not a vape, not a gummy, but the entire plant, which has so many micro elements to it that are lost when you have a strong THC derivative, is not the entire plant of cannabis. It would be the same. It's the same as Valium and valerian root, right? Valerian root is, like, incredible for the nervous system. It's a beautiful teacher. But Valium, right, is just like, let me extract this one part, expand it by 10,000, and give you a pill. And there you go. But it's like, well, it's not the same. It can be useful, but Valium and valerian root are not the same. And so a lot of THC products compared to cannabis as a plant are very, very, very different. So there's some potential there too to drop into some deep breath work with cannabis, which is really good for connecting to your body, to your pleasure, to your breath, to just, like, feeling like you actually live in your own self. It's like, oh, here I am in my own self. It's so exciting. All right, guys, we've run a little bit over. I always love to run a little bit over. If you're still here, I took a picture of the room, but please drop me your email in the chat before you go, even if I already have it, even if I already know you, just so that I can follow up. If you want to book a call, the link is in the description there, or sorry, in the chat there. Link in description. What do I sound like, an influencer? That sounds like such an Instagram thing to say.
You are an influencer.
Here's my greatest new influence of my life right here. Come say hello. Hi, everybody. I hope you come to the program. This is my beautiful, sweet, loving angel. She doesn't have a name yet. I started calling her Vanilla Bean for some reason today, so that might be her name. Oh, thanks for coming to say hi to everybody. For those of you that have cats, you know they love computers. It's the favorite thing. I've had her for 10 days. All she wants to do is play on my computer. All right. Pat, could you, I'm just going to grab a screenshot of these, but could you copy some of the emails out of the chat for me?
Yep, I've copied the chat for our records and follow-up needs.
Before
So
we go, guys, what we always do here, those of you that know me know we do this. I want everyone to unmute if you can stay on. Karina, if you have to go, thank you, thank you. If you want to unmute and tell us your word, I'm asking you one word of how you're feeling right now. So you kind of take a breath and you're like, how am I? It could be a sensation. You could be like, I'm sore, I'm tired, I feel. Just see what it is. See what that word is. And I'll call on you guys one by one and you can say your one word. This is our favorite game at Buena Vida. One word of how I'm feeling. Everything counts. There's no negative or positive words. All of them are just being a human. So let's start with Joanne and then go to Sebastian.
I feel, I don't know why, but relieved.
Joanne feels relieved. Thank you, Joanne.
Mhm.
All right, we'll do Sebastian and then Corina with a C.
I would say my word is curious.
All right, Sebastian feels curious. And then Corina?
Content.
Content. Karina feels content. And then we have Karina with a K.
Well, since my word got taken, inquisitive.
Inquisitive. Makes me perk up a little bit. All right, let's say Paula and Mark.
Enlightened. Paula is enlightened.
Enlightened. The light has been brought. And Mark?
I will go with anticipatory.
Anticipatory. Feeling those that sounds a little bit like excitement. Just saying.
Like a what?
Like
excitement.
excitement. Anticipatory is excitement too.
Yeah, I've been prepping for a few things. Trust me.
Good. He's ready. And the maple syrup.
Tomorrow.
And Pat, we'll go to you, and then I will close us out.
The word that's coming for me is prepared.
Feeling prepared. What is my feeling? Joyful. I feel joyful. I always love sharing this space with you guys, no matter what we're doing. A peek into my world, and then I'm going to close this out. I was really, really nervous the past few weeks to do this, and then I had to move because last week I moved an entire retreat from one coast of Mexico to the next, and so I had to move the deeper thing, and and all these things. I don't know if you guys have ever, anything new that you do, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm like, is it going to be okay? And we did it. All those feelings, right? All those feelings come up. And just wanting to be able to communicate the best way that I could of like what's in my heart, because this program right now it's really, really living in my heart, and it's taking shape, right? And it's the people are coming and the leaders are coming, and we're all getting really excited about it. And so I was so nervous before I got on here, and then I see your faces, and then I hear your words, and then we get to discuss, and then we get to actually like drop in with each other. And it's always so special. Like the Buena Vida calls are always so special. So thank you guys for being a part of that. As always, we still are going to have retreats as well. We're probably going to be doing, I would say, like fewer retreats overall. This program is a gift to myself too, because I have been wanting to work with people longer term. I have, like I said, there's just thousands of people, and sometimes I want to like text everybody because like all my past guests and friends, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many of them. And so it's a gift to me and my leaders as well, as like, to go on this journey with you guys, and it's going to be an honor. So yeah, thank you for being with me in this. We appreciate you very much. We'll send you just a quick
I'll make a quick
follow-up.
note.
Yeah, go ahead, Pat.
Amanda, also thank you for this container the last 7 years here in Buena Vita. I know it was 2 years ago now, or better, that we started talking about this idea of we're going deeper. And I'm not sure how many times we mentioned the word deeper, and here we are going deeper. Thank you for your bravery to this new landscape here in the psychedelics world, and for all the people that you've sat with, thousands of people you've sat with. Thank you for your work.
I'll receive that best I can. Patrick and I met on a mushroom retreat in Costa Rica, by the way, just so we all know that.
As participants.
It was the first time I had been to a mushroom retreat, if you can believe that. Like myself, other than leading them. I was like, I need to go. And oh man, putting my faith in the hands of other people, I was like, Lord, help me let go of this control. It was fantastic. It was really wonderful. And then I didn't even know, but what was it, 4 months ago? All of a sudden, I see that Patrick, my friend from Costa Rica, just happens to be in Austin, Texas. I was like, of course. I like how everything weaves together. All right, friends. I love you. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. Be compassionate to yourselves. Forgive yourselves. If being hard on yourself worked, you'd be better by now. It doesn't. Being hard with yourself, being rough with yourself, being mean to yourself does not work. It would have already worked. So in those moments when your brain does that, as it will continue to do, come back and say like, hey, that's not very nice. I think I'm going to choose something different. I think I'm going to choose something different to say to myself today. I love you very much. I hope to see many of you very soon.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for your time.
Oh, I gotta do the heart. Ready? Here it comes. Yeah! It worked.